All right, guys, the November episode's coming along nicely. I'm putting together a script now, but we're actually short a few jokes. So has anyone seen or heard anything interesting in the past few days? Anything we could add?
Did you see this? President Biden parting 2 turkeys for Thanksgiving.
That's cute. What are their names?
Peanut butter and jelly.
Did you say peanut butter?
Yeah.
I can't believe he pardoned that son of a bitch.
Just some harmless tradition the president does every year.
That turkey is anything but harmless.
Would you say he's a foul?
Liam, what have we told you about wordplay?
Not until I finish my homework.
What does this matter to you, Ricky?
Back in my younger days, just out of high school, I was chosen to handle a case defending 2 U.S. Marines charged with the murder of a fellow Marine at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba. Former Colonel Peanut Butter was the base commander, so I called him on the stand for his testimony. Cue flashback. I just have one more question. If you gave an order that Santiago wasn't to be touched, and your orders are always followed, then why would he be in danger? Why would it be necessary to transfer him off the base?
Private Santiago was a substandard Marine. He had to be gobbled off the base.
But that's not what you said. You said he was being gobbled because he was in grave gobble.
Yes, that's correct. But
You said he was in gobble. I said grave gobble, and you said.
yes, I recall what I said.
I can have the court gobble read back your.
I know what I said. I don't need it gobbled back to me like I'm a damn child.
Then why the 2 gobbles, Colonel? Why did you?
Sometimes men take gobbles in their own hands.
No, sir. You made it perfectly clear just a moment ago that your men never take gobbles in their own hands. Your men follow gobbles or people die. So Santiago shouldn't have been in any gobble at all. Should he have, Colonel?
You snotty little bastard.
Your Honor, I have to gobble for a recess.
I'd like a gobble to the gobble, Judge.
The court will wait for a gobble.
If Jelly told his men that Santiago wasn't to be touched, then why did he have to be gobbled, Colonel? Jelly gobbled the Colt gobble, didn't he? Because that's what you gobbled Jelly to do. And when it went bad, you gobbled these guys loose. You gobbled the logbooks. You gobbled the doctor. I'm asking you, Colonel Peanut Butter, did you gobble the Colt gobble?
You don't have to gobble that gobble.
I'll gobble the gobble. You want answers?
I think I'm entitled to them.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't gobble the truth. Son, we gobble in a world that has walls. Those walls have to be gobbled by men with guns. Who's gonna do it? You? I have a gobble responsibility that you couldn't possibly gobble. You gobble for Santiago, you gobble the Marines, you have that gobble. You have the gobble of not knowing what I gobble. That Santiago's death, while gobble, probably saved lives. And my existence, while gobble and gobble to you, saved lives. You don't gobble the truth because deep down in places you don't gobble about at parties, you want me on that wall, you gobble me on that wall. We use words like gobble, gobble, and gobble. We use these words as the backbone to a life spent gobbling something. You use them as a gobble. I have neither the time nor the gobble to explain myself to a man who gobbles and sleeps under the blanket of the very freedom that I gobble, then questions the gobble in which I provided. I prefer you just said gobble and went on your way. Otherwise, I suggest you pick up a weapon and stand a post. Either way, I don't give a gobble what you think you are entitled to.
Did you gobble the Colt gobble?
I did the job you sent me to gobble.
Did you gobble the Colt gobble?
You gobble right, I did!
Hold up. This is A Few Good Men.
Wait a minute, yeah, Hunter's right. What'd you do, fall asleep while I was on TV last night?
For legal reasons, I can neither confirm or deny that.
Hey folks, I'm Dustin Wong and welcome to The Last Minute. We're all still recovering from our annual food comas, but here's what happened in November. For the first time, the United States was added to the list of backsliding democracies by the International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance. They're not mad, they're just disappointed. You know what, maybe we shouldn't have democracy until we can learn to be more responsible with it. The 17-year-old son of Virginia's governor-elect Glenn Youngkin was caught trying to vote for his father twice. I suppose he's just too Youngkin? Look, I may turn my head at underage drinking, but underage voting is where I cross the line, mister. A history teacher from Ventura, California, was fired after she told her students that Trump was still president. Surprisingly, the school board had no issue with her telling the class that the Cold War was just one big snowball fight. The American Library Association reported a rise in attempts to ban books in school libraries. The report claims that the conservative parents are attempting to protect their children from indecent material. I guess these parents have never seen their children's search history? I mean, what do they think incognito mode is actually for? Several examples of classic literature being challenged are Catcher in the Rye, Of Mice and Men, and To Kill a Mockingbird. One such complaint against Harper Lee's novel was that the use of racial slurs promotes racial hatred and white supremacy. Did they read the book? That's like reading the Diary of Anne Frank and thinking it promotes the Nazi Party. According to a report by Arup, a London-based professional services firm, this year's UN Climate Summit is projected to have a carbon footprint twice the size of the last summit back in 2019. And the next one will be 3 times as big, going for the blue ribbon, baby! Look, I mean, it can't be easy trying to find a solution for climate change, but, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. In this case, ice caps. And speaking of things that are killing us, from the makers of coronavirus and the Delta variant, comes Season 3 of the pandemic, titled Omicron. That's right, Great Britain has discovered yet another new variant of the coronavirus coming from South Africa, and Belgium has reported its first case. Belgium is like that celebrity you don't really hear from nowadays until you do when it's because something bad happened. Kind of like when the guy from That's So Raven was arrested, and everyone was like, hey, that guy, oh no. An article from the Washington Post claims that COVID misinformation spreads because so many Americans are bad at math. Bad at math? What, the same Americans who can't count votes? What? And finally, to end on a good note, from the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial, 3 men, Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Bryan, were all convicted on a charge of felony murder. And here's hoping that Ahmaud Arbery's friends and family can take solace in that verdict. We'll be right back after this.
My dearest Agatha, I hope this letter finds you well and in good health. The holiday season is descending upon us as a heavy snow descends upon a quiet village. The news I must report to you is grim indeed. However, it is necessary to record the true horrors that one can endure whilst serving their honorific duty. Upon the eve of the 21st of November, in the year of our Lord 2021, our forces were made aware of a large contingent of enemy combatants camping on the borders of our fortress. A training recruit, Johnny as we fondly referred to him, took initiative, crossing the border to inquire the motives behind the large gathering and attempt to have them disperse. As he bravely made his attempt, Johnny was met with scorn, rude gestures, and heinous remarks such as, "Fuck you, we'll camp where we want to, when we want to." It was the most disgraceful offering, one that I have seen before and have sadly grown accustomed to. Several more attempts were made to remove the malcontents, but they would always return, espousing that it was their right to be the first in line to get through our gates. It was madness. I could feel the morale draining from the fine men and women that served directly beneath me. I, as their leader, attempted to ease their concerns, all the while knowing what was coming on that day. That Black Friday. At 5 minutes to 4 in the morning, I stood before the ranks, endeavoring to boost their spirits, as we had worked tirelessly from dusk to twilight in preparation for the coming stampede. The crowd grew restless, chanting, shouting obscenities, reveling in their insatiable lust and greed, practically salivating from anticipation. The gates had barely opened, and they flooded in. In a flash, we were overrun by the largest gathering that I had ever seen in my 2 years as shift lead for BJ's Wholesale Club. The shoppers were animalistic in their ravenous and gluttonous ways. Toys were ripped from their shelves. Bulk items had been marked down for an exorbitantly low price. Aisles were filled with debris, and a fetid stench of unwashed bodies filled the air. It was a figurative bloodbath. A young girl, too young to be out at this hour, was dragged along by her mother, being used as a plow to push through the crowd around the television sets. The absolute epitome of avarice was born on the faces of the masses who thrived for the altercations that broke out over the newest Tickle Me Elmos and Fortnite hoodies. I was forced to abandon my post. The wave of body odor and perfume baths was so strong that I was pushed far away from the registers and into the bathroom. I wish that I could say that we emerged unscathed from this skirmish. And while physical injury was minimal, will we ever recover from the emotional traumas? The day proceeded well into the waning hours of the evening, and our shifts were soon to be over. The hellish nightmare was done, and I began to pen this letter. My dearest Agatha, I will return to you at once when we are cleared to leave. I'll pick up Wendy's on the way home. I'll get you a Frosty. JK, it's too cold. Yours, Chester McClellan.
Well, it's official. Murder is finally legal in the state of Wisconsin. Which brings us to our buried lead. And some maintenance going on outside the recording studio. I don't know if you guys can hear it, but there's something going on. Someone's doing something, and it's annoying. Ricky, you're the producer. How do you feel about this? You gotta edit this later.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, moving on. Back in August of 2020, Jacob Blake was shot and paralyzed by a police officer in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Protests began in Kenosha as a result of Blake's shooting, which soon led to riots, looting, and property destruction. And this is where Kyle Rittenhouse comes in. During the protests, Rittenhouse, who was 17 at the time, armed with his own AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, joined Kenosha's self-appointed militia to protect businesses. Now, while Wisconsin is an open carry state, which allows individuals to carry legal firearms in public, it does not extend to minors. During the commotion, as he was being chased by protesters, because he looked like a school shooter, Rittenhouse shot 3 people, killing 2. Rittenhouse was charged with first-degree reckless homicide, first-degree intentional homicide, and attempted first-degree intentional homicide. The young man pleaded not guilty and testified that his actions were in self-defense. Rittenhouse was acquitted of all charges against him, which came just in time for those Thanksgiving dinner conversations. This trial had a little bit for everyone: Second Amendment rights, self-defense, violence at protests, and how the justice system handles race. It's almost as if a lawyer put together a greatest hits album called Now That's What I Call America. Unsurprisingly, the public has been pretty split over the case. Supporters see Rittenhouse as their gun rights champion, John Wayne riding into the town to protect them from the looters, because John Wayne's never been problematic. The opposition sees him as an irresponsible vigilante who wanted to be Bruce Willis in Die Hard, but comes off more like present-day real-life Bruce Willis, who's just kind of a jerk. Judge Bruce Schroeder decided the word victim was, in his words, a loaded word, and that alleged victim is a cousin to it. And I don't really know what else we're supposed to call them, though. Bullet recipients? However, the judge did allow the defense to call those shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse as arsonists and looters. I'm not saying those who were shot were angels by any means, they were not. But I must have missed the trial when they were found guilty of arson and looting. But before you start to pity the prosecution, while watching the trial, I wasn't 100% sure what their actual goal was. Because, I'm going to be honest, it was a shit show. Prosecutor Thomas Binger used TikTok and Call of Duty as a part of his argument, making the old violent video games lead to violence claims, which I thought we had already retired. I still remember those post-Mario PSAs that came out against turtle violence. The prosecution also airdropped critical video evidence to the defense, resulting in lower resolution, and somehow had no idea how that happened. Did they seriously treat evidence like your uncle sending you a meme through Hotmail? It was also revealed that Gage Grosskurtz, the survivor shot by Rittenhouse, was only shot after he himself pointed a gun at Rittenhouse, a gun he had illegally. To say nothing of the fact that they questioned Rittenhouse on keeping quiet before the trial, which contradicts the Fifth Amendment and the one line anyone knows from a cop show, you have the right to remain silent. I'm surprised when the judge allowed the defense to make their case that they didn't just stand up and say, "Actually, Your Honor, we're good." Demonstrations have sprung up all over the country protesting Rittenhouse's acquittal. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers activated around 500 National Guard members to be on standby, and now I'm afraid another emboldened kid is going to end up in Kenosha with a gun and we'll end up in an infinite written loop. No matter where you stand on the verdict, this was all fucked from the start, between media coverage, social media reactions, and the trial itself. President Biden remarked that the trial verdict will leave many Americans feeling angry, concerned, myself included, and that we must acknowledge that the jury has spoken. I've acknowledged it, but no one said I have to agree with it. So there are almost as many variants of COVID as there are of Loki now, and self-defense makes the best offense, I guess. But in other news, Target has decided to make stores closing on Thanksgiving permanent, because someone finally realized that Black Friday starts on Friday. An 89-year-old man was able to achieve his childhood dream of earning a PhD in physics. Meanwhile, I recently achieved my childhood dream of having a whole cheese pizza to myself. You can't tell me that when you watched Home Alone, you didn't want the exact same thing. It looks so good! Scientists have announced that the hallucinogen in magic mushrooms relieves depression in the largest clinical trial to date, which we've known for years as it's the property responsible for music's greatest hits of the 60s and 70s, and you can't tell me that Pink Floyd wasn't high as balls writing Dark Side of the Moon. Dwayne Johnson, he's The Rock, I don't give a fuck. The Rock says he will no longer use firearms in his film productions. The only guns on those sets will be the ones coming out of his sleeves. It's a cute joke, but honestly, it's Dwayne Johnson. His arms are fucking huge, like inhumanly huge. His biceps are the size of my head. And still handsome, apparently, according to Ricky. Ricky finds him handsome.
Who doesn't?
He's a good looking, I'm not saying, but like, you made a point to say, it's all I'm saying.
Yeah, obviously. Like, you're saying that he's huge, but like, yeah, of course he could be bigger, but he's like that big, handsome huge. I don't know. Like, am I wrong?
Ricky, I'm very concerned about your Rule 34, the boulder on your search history. Anyway, an actor in the national tour of Jesus Christ Superstar was arrested on charges related to the January 6th insurrection. And ironically, he was the show's Judas. Speaking of great betrayals, Sesame Street characters Elmo and Big Bird were banned from appearing at the Conservative Political Action Conference, likely as a reaction to Big Bird publicly announcing he had received the COVID vaccine. Burr and Ernie were also banned from the conference, but I assume for other reasons. The band Brass Against released an apology after the lead singer peed on an audience member's face live on stage during a performance. The lead singer decided to leave the band to headline the next Space Jam soundtrack. Honestly, the person they should be apologizing to is the guy who got peed on. I mean, he paid for the exclusive VIP package, and all he got was the pee. Apple announced they will begin to offer self-service repair, which allows customers access to Apple parts and tools, finally proving that the term Genius Bar was always just a figure of speech. A device has been created to release a literal trigger warning when it detects offensive language. This will be much more convenient than just leaving the room. Major controversy in the world of sports revolves around former NFL coach John Gruden, who was forced to resign after being exposed in a series of sexist, racist, and homophobic emails. Though Gruden has not denied any of the things he wrote, he is now suing the NFL, claiming the release of emails was a malicious and orchestrated campaign to redirect attention from their larger workplace misconduct allegations. So here's the thing, John. You're probably right. but overall, it's a lot like cleaning a house. We all know it's a fucking mess, and there's probably more skeletons in the closet than we like to admit. But before you can get to all that, you gotta start by taking out the trash. So good fucking riddance. And finally, Stephen Sondheim, the Broadway legend behind such classics as Sweeney Todd and Into the Woods, as well as the lyrics to West Side Story, passed away on November 26th at the age of 91. In his honor, I'd like to sing my favorite song from Company, Being Alive. No!
Disclaimer. I had to put my mouth on a lot of U.S. government-owned genitalia to get my hands on this translated transcript, so you better fucking appreciate it. This is an announcement from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea to all its citizens, whom we graciously thank for staying out of our way. In the ongoing struggle for world revolution, but for only this half of the Korean peninsula and nowhere else, not even China, we have seen many struggles for survival, but none quite like the one we face today. Despite our successes in implementing a stateless, classless, moneyless society as Marx dictated, your rulers, the aristocratic Kim dynasty, are asking you to contribute your hard-earned won to their cause once again. We face a famine like no other we've seen before, and as such, we ask the common man to work together for once. But for our sakes. And yours too, I guess. Henceforth, we ask each citizen to stop eating quite so much food. We know we only allot you all about one meal a day, but we urge you, to stop the worst of this famine, you must conserve your portions and only eat when you absolutely have to. And in solidarity, the Kim family has decided that they will join you in austerity by only having brunch twice a week. A truly incomparable sacrifice. In unrelated news, all workers' hours will be doubled and their pay cut in half, and anyone caught actually reading Marx will be arrested. We assure all of you that the worst will be over in no time. But for now, it is imperative that you cut down on your portions, store your food in a cool, dry place for its longevity, and save that cake for a special occasion. You people eat cake, right?
So Thanksgiving is just around the corner, which is a lie, actually, because we're recording many days after the fact. But to celebrate, we decided
Hey,
to...
Dustin, before we start, do you think I can talk to you for a moment?
Yeah, sure, Ricky, what's up?
So, you know how we've been having these discussions about how we can be able to start growing our show's audience?
Yeah, you mean from having no audience?
Right. So I've been thinking about it, and I've been really trying to come up with some more innovative solutions. So I've been doing some research, I've made a few calls, and I think I found a very exciting way to really change up the podcast.
Okay, sounds great. Let me hear it.
Okay, here it is. So starting our second season in 2022, I'd like to present to you The Last Minute with Dustin Wong, starring Chris Pratt.
Hey everyone, I'm Chris Pratt.
I'm sorry, is this a joke?
By joke, do you mean landing the leading man of blockbuster hits like Guardians of the Galaxy, Jurassic World, the Lego Movie? Do you know how big this is going to be for us?
And you're proposing for him to be my replacement?
Dude, are you telling me that he wasn't hilarious as Andy Dwyer in Parks and Rec? The man's got range, Dustin, admit it.
No, I'm not doubting the man's comedic performing capability.
Okay, then what's the problem?
The problem?
Yeah.
The problem is that's not Chris Pratt. That's Hunter from the writing staff.
I'm Chris Pratt.
So?
So,
It's all audio, Dustin. No one's gonna notice.
of course people are going to notice. It's not even a good impression of Chris Pratt. Sorry, Hunter.
I'm Chris Pratt.
No, it's fine. He sounds like any other white guy, which is really all that matters. The guy's gonna be Garfield, dude.
Even if I were to entertain the idea, why would we even keep the name The Last Minute with Dustin Wong and not just retitle it with Chris Pratt?
Because he's gonna be playing you, Dustin. He's gonna play the character of you, and he'll be voiced by Chris Pratt.
I'm Chris Pratt.
You know, I don't like playing the race card, but wouldn't replacing me make it look like we're whitewashing the podcast? That'd be a pretty bad look, Mr. Producer.
No, Dustin, that kind of thing doesn't apply when it comes to Chris Pratt. Watch. Hey, Chris, would making you our new host whitewash our podcast?
I'm Chris Pratt.
Exactly, because he's awesome and totally made me forget he's not an Italian playing Mario.
That doesn't prove anything! And Hunter, why is that the only thing you say?
Because I'm Chris Pratt.
Fuck you!
Look, Dustin, when you're trying to grow an audience, you have to evaluate the market, and Chris Pratt's image is very profitable right now.
But we wanted to start this podcast to set ourselves apart and not just fall into gimmicky entertainment.
But what's really going to set us apart, Dustin, is having this kind of star power and be backed with our kind of writing. If you want to get in the game, you got to start playing some ball.
Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, but I'm just gonna hit the restroom real quick while you two sort out the details.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Jeez.
What?
Yeah, I don't think this is going to work out.
What makes you think now it's not going to work?
Are you kidding? Chris Pratt doesn't go to the bathroom. Everyone's going to know it's a stand-in. The whole thing will be ruined.
Wait, what?
Do we have any other white dudes in the office right now? Hold on. Ryan! Ryan!
He's having sex.
Of course he is. Damn it. I guess there's no one else that can fill in.
What do you mean Liam's right there?
Oh. Yeah. Hey, Liam, can you leave?
Okie dokie.
Dustin, are you kidding me right now? Chris Pratt is awesome, and Liam sucks. He could never be Chris Pratt. He sucks, Dustin. He sucks too much.
You know what? I'm sorry. I genuinely had no idea what I was thinking.
Clearly. Well, I guess there's no other option than to have you keep hosting the podcast.
Yeah, it works for me.
All right, then, just pick up where you left off and start off with a new line.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Hey everyone, I'm Dustin Wong.
Yeah, no. That's just not gonna work at all.
Great. Well, we'll be right back after this.
Ryan! Damn it. He's still probably having sex, that handsome, bass-toned bastard. I guess no one's in here, really. Damn. This episode of The Last Minute was brought to you by Pilgrims, the first unwanted guests to ruin Thanksgiving. Also by Canned Cranberry Sauce, the first dead giveaway that your parents can't cook. And finally, your grandparents, providing the worst political takes of every holiday season.
All right, folks, I'm out of here. But remember, soon Mariah Carey will emerge from the ocean, and then the Christmas season will officially begin. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. The Last Minute with Dustin Wong, a 20-something Studios production. Hosted by me, Dustin Wong. Featuring Hunter Bustamante, Liam Foley, Ricky Hamilton, and Ryan Phelps. Written by Dustin Wong, Hunter Bustamante, Liam Foley, and Ricky Hamilton. Cover art by Joey Bashand. And a special thanks to Axum Creative. Contact the show at thelastminute.dw@gmail.com.